Welcome back to Deconstructing DJG. I am DJG, and normally on this channel, I will react to religious media, break down what is being said, how it was explained to me as I was growing up, etc., how my former fundy self would have reacted to XYZ. And today, I'm going to come a little bit from the other side. So, earlier this year, a new series dropped on Amazon Prime that I immediately became completely obsessed with. That is, of course, the Hazbin Hotel. The characters are so well written. The animation is just delectable. The way that they handle moving parts, oh my god, the 360 revolutions that they do during fight scenes and stuff, amazing. So there's a lot of reasons to enjoy this, but because I am an ex-evangelical, because I am a former fundamentalist missionary homeschool kid, I absolutely was gagged at the amount and what I feel is accuracy of religious lore and imagery, primarily from Christianity, in the whole story of how the purge came to be and how hell and demons and sinners came to be. That is, it's so good. And so there's some jokes actually that don't really make sense, or you won't notice them unless you notice that religious imagery. We are going to take a trip through Hazbin Hotel, and I'm going to try and point out all the little things and talk somewhat briefly, I'll try, about the symbolism and the history and the lore that goes behind those things and what makes those jokes work, in my opinion. So without further ado, we have our first episode, which probably has the bulk of the introduction, at least to the religious imagery and how it's going to be used in this particular fictionalized universe. The music, so good, so good.
Once upon a time, there was a glowing city protected by golden gates, known as heaven. It was ruled by beings of pure light, angels that worshipped good and shielded all from evil.
All right, so first off, we are being introduced to angels. Now, in the Abrahamic traditions, there are hierarchies of angels. So in Judaism, you have the Hayot HaKodesh, the Ophanim, the Erelim, the Hashmalim, the Malachim, the Elohim, Bene Elohim, and Ishim. Mostly we get this information from Ezekiel and Isaiah. The ones that typically we see in biblical stories is actually the Malachim. That's the messenger angels. So those are the ones that would have appeared to any of the people really who received messages from angels. The seraphim, that is what we see right here. That's the ones with all the eyes and the wings and the eyes on the wings and the wings on the eyes, and it's all scary and terrifying and whatnot. This is the top echelon for Christianity. These guys are the ones that were flying around the throne singing holy, holy, holy. So these guys are depicted and, described multiple times throughout the Bible. They are highly used in Revelation. So they're the big guys, right? And so that would be why they were chosen to be, the main ones that are creating the universe and setting up the humans and all of that good jazz. But also, I think these guys were chosen just because there has been kind of a like artistic trend in recent years for biblically accurate angels. And really that just is shorthand for biblically accurate seraphim. It doesn't really necessarily represent the other classes of angels. But these guys have been a very like fun trend for people to follow. So it's also very popular and well known. So makes sense.
Evil. Lucifer was one of these angels. He was a dreamer with fantastical ideas for all of creation, but he was seen as a troublemaker by the elders of heaven.
A lot of people are going to conflate Lucifer with Satan with the devil, when technically in the Bible, those three are not always necessarily the same being. So let's, make sure we're not reading this like the Lucifer TV show. This is a very different Lucifer. Hi, baby. Yes. Oh. Okay, so the most common meaning for Lucifer in English is, oh, hi, baby. Hi, baby, is the devil. And so, like I said, it often gets conflated, even though in the text, the original text at least, it's not necessarily the same. The King James Version, our favorite gay political determiner of what goes in the Bible, Mr. King James, he did that along with numerous other translation things, hi baby, that were very particular to the King James Version. Latin word, though, that Lucifer comes from means the morning star, the planet Venus, light bringing. The Hebrew word, Hallel, is shining one. So, makes sense that he is Lucifer, morning star. Lucifer was indeed cast out of heaven. However, it was because of pride. And so it wasn't because he had fantastical ideas. It's because he thought himself on the same level as God. And he wanted that praise and adoration and whatnot for that. This is Heathcliff, by the way. He is, oh, Josh, my little familiar. Hi. Okay, so this again comes from Isaiah. Like I said, the angels, we mostly get our information from Ezekiel and Isaiah, a little bit from Revelation. But the information on Lucifer's fall from heaven is in Isaiah. It's Isaiah 14, 12 through 17. So it says, how you have fallen from heaven, morning star, son of the dawn. You have been cast down to the earth, you who once laid low the nations. You said in your heart, I will ascend to the heavens. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the mount of assembly on the utmost heights of Mount Zaphon. I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. But you are brought down to the realm of the dead, to the depths of the pit. Those who see you stare at you, they ponder your fate. Is this the man who shook the earth and made kingdoms tremble? The man who made the world a wilderness, who overthrew its cities and would not let his captives go home. That is Lucifer being kicked out of heaven for the sin of pride. It is worth mentioning that in the Vivzy Pop universe, it appears that sinners are stuck somewhat in the pride ring, because there's like rings of hell. I imagine it's kind of like the thing below Raccoon City. You got the hive with the different levels. And anyway, you've got the different rings of hell, and it appears that the sinners are stuck on the pride ring because that is, generally speaking, what gets them sent to hell is their pride. And so I think the parallel of Lucifer getting sent to hell for pride and then the sinners getting sent to hell for pride Makes sense.
where they felt his way of thinking was dangerous to the order of their world. So he watched as the angels began to expand the universe in their ways. From the dust of earth, they created Adam and Lilith, equal.
Okay, Lilith. Lilith is fun. Lilith is fun lore. Okay, so in the 90s, early 2000s, it might still be going on, who knows? But there was a women's folk music festival called Lilith Fair, just kind of de facto the lesbian concert festival that would happen every year. But that's because in the lore, Lilith wanted equality. She did not want to submit to her husband. She did not want to submit to a man simply because of her gender. She wanted equality as one of the founders of the human race. Christian lore doesn't usually acknowledge the existence of Lilith. They, through Genesis 1, just kind of skip right over to Eve being created from Adam's rib. We actually see more of her in Jewish tradition than we would, or Jewish writings, I should say, not necessarily tradition, but Jewish writings. So in the Bible, Lilith only gets mentioned once, and that's Isaiah 34:14. So once again, we're in Isaiah. It's all about them prophets. The characterization of Lilith was a seducer or slayer of children. That actually kind of has its roots in ancient Babylonian history. Religious history. The Lilu demons and their female counterparts, the Lilitu or Ardat Lili demons, were hungry for victims because they had once been human. They were the spirits of young men and women who had themselves died young. And so it's like mentioned in the Bible, but it's not really part of like canon. Now, in the Talmud, so in rabbinic literature in the Jewish tradition, there are just a handful of mentions of Lilith. Rabbi Hanina BT Shabbat 151b refers to the sexual danger that Lilith constitutes for men. It is forbidden to sleep in a house alone, and whoever sleeps in a house alone, a Lilith seizes him. No munchie. No munchie. Two other references to Lilith point to her physical appearance. She has wings and long hair. So, no wings at this point, but she definitely has the long hair. She was also seen as a dangerous demon in the alphabet of Ben Sirah. She is listed as being the first wife of Adam. They immediately began to fight over who would be on top during sexual intercourse. Lilith said, "We are equal to each other inasmuch as we were both created from the earth." Lilith then pronounced God's name and flew away into the air. Eve was then created from Adam's rib, but Lilith and Adam were both created from the earth, just like Vivzie says. At Adam's request, God sent 3 angels to bring Lilith back, but she refused. According to one version of the tale, she told them that she could not return to her first husband because she had already slept with the great demon, Lucifer. So yes, Lilith did run away and fall in love with Lucifer, as Vivzie Pop is about to explain. She told the angels that she was created only to sicken the newborn babies and that she had dominion over males until the 8th day when the boy is circumcised, and over females until the 12th day after birth, when you do the naming ceremony for a girl. Angels then told her that they would not force her to go back to Adam as long as she agreed to leave the child alone when she saw an amulet inscribed with the angels' names and forms. Many amulets have been made against Lilith that refer to this tale. You are able to purchase that at Judaica shops. In Kabbalah, the great demon of the alphabet of Ben Sirah was given the name Samael. And according to earlier Midrashim, he had Midrash is another rabbinic writing series. The Midrashim, he had seduced the serpent to evil in the Garden of Eden, and he was long identified as the angel of death and the guardian angel of Rome. So, with that, again, Lucifer is not exactly, the devil is not the snake, is not Satan. Like, they're kind of the same, but not, depending on who you talk to. So, Samael and Lilith emanated together from beneath the throne of glory as a result of the sin of the first humans in the Garden of Eden. Their mythological characteristics were further developed by the Zohar. There, Lilith and Samael emanated together from one of the divine powers, the Sephira of Gevurah, which is strength. On the side of evil, they correspond to the holy divine male and female. So you have Adam and Eve as the divine male and female. You have Samael and Lilith as the wicked, evil, divine male and female. When you take it back to the Jewish history, these Bible stories are way more interesting and have so many more characters and details about those characters than we would otherwise have. So I find that so much fun. I think my favorite part is that in the alphabet of Ben Sirah, specifically saying that she wanted to top. They weren't talking about equality in other aspects. I mean, I'm sure they were, but the ones that were mentioned, or she wanted to top, or at least top some of the times. We got ourselves our first Dami Mommy.
As the first of mankind, but despite this, Adam demanded control, and Lilith refused to submit to his will. She fled the garden. Drawn in by her fierce independence, Lucifer found her, and the two rebellious dreamers fell deeply in love, offering the fruit of knowledge to Adam's new bride, Eve, who gladly accepted. But evil finally found its way into Earth. With it, a new realm of darkness and sin, and the order heaven had worked to maintain was shattered.
So in the fall, it does talk about a destruction of the originally intended order of things. But at the same time, the tree in the Garden of Eden was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So it was about understanding right from wrong. And if you don't understand right from wrong, how are you going to choose that which is right? And if humans were corruptible by sin's entrance into the world and the fall of man, if that possibility to do evil was there, if they hadn't known right from wrong, would they have been sinning when they did wrong? Or would it all have been fine because they didn't know any better? This, I think, plays into the age of accountability that a lot of evangelicals believe in, to where up to a certain age, a child is not eternally responsible for whether or not they are sinning. They will certainly do their best to discipline the sin out of the child, as we have seen in the books by Bill Gothard and James Dobson and Michael Pearl, and on and on and on. You know, recognizing that these little vipers in diapers are sinning from birth. They're just given like an exemption until they hit, most people said it was somewhere between 5 and 8 years old. But even then, like, our frontal cortex is not finished developing until, our mid to late 20s? So, 20 years earlier, you're going to start requiring a child to be eternally responsible for what they do and whether or not it is a sin and appropriately acknowledged and repented for, because that's a lot to put on such an early developmental age range.
As punishment for their reckless act, heaven cast Lucifer and his love into the dark pit he had created, never allowing him to see the good that came from humanity, only the cruel and the wicked.
This, I think, is a very interesting take on Lucifer. So he is not allowed to see the good things that humans can do in this realm. Whereas with, if you look at C.S. Lewis's The Screwtape Letters, the demons are very much aware of the good things that humans can do, and they see them as this like dastardly plot to thwart. Like, we have to make sure these people are sinning. We can't have them doing good things out there. In common evangelical ideologies, you're generally going to see a devil that is able to see the good and the evil and intentionally chooses and pushes evil over good. It's interesting to see that this Lucifer was denied that ability to see the dualism within man and to only see the awful, because as we go through the series, that will very much inform who Lucifer is at this point for the story.
Shamed, Lucifer lost his will to dream, but Lilith thrived, empowering demonkind with her voice and her
there she is,
songs.
flying
And as
at
the
least,
numbers
no
of
wings.
hell grew, so did its power. Threatened by this, heaven made a truly heartless decision. That every year they would send down an army, an extermination, to ensure hell and its sinners could never rise against them.
This is an interesting issue that she creates in this world, because the Bible is clear that, narrow is the road and few who find it that leads unto everlasting life, something like that. And so there's always way more people down in hell, but there's never any concern that the inhabitants of hell would ever leave hell. They would not be able to have any sort of impact on any other realm at any point in time. They're very much locked down there. And they will bring that back to largely Revelations, a little bit in Daniel, where they talk about how there are the 7 seals and the 7 trumpets to announce the unsealing of those seals, because it is by removing those seals that demons and whatnot in hell are able to leave hell. Even though there's all sorts of stuff about demons coming after Christians, and it's very wibbly wobbly, timey wimey kind of thing. So I think probably what you would get as an answer to that question is that Satan is bound in hell, and that the demons that have a much reduced capacity compared to him are able to move back and forth and to do certain amounts of things. But like, it's kind of like a poltergeist. You can only move little things, and it takes a lot of power to be able to throw the desk up against the other wall. Unless, of course, you read any Frank Peretti novels, in which case demons can do just about anything as long as it serves the plot. Notice throughout this series, in like all of the backgrounds, there's eyes everywhere. I think that's for a few different reasons. We have the obvious implication of the seraphim that are full of eyes, so they see everything, and so even in hell, those eyes are everywhere. On the story lore side, though, I have heard rumors, at least, that Vivzie Pop might be suggesting that when souls get sent somewhere, they end up popping up as eyes. We shall see what that ends up coming out as, if she decides to develop that part of the lore.
How long has it been now?
Not that long. Only 7 years off doing something important, I'm sure.
There are a number of very mythologically important numbers within the Bible. There have been many books devoted to the numerology of the Bible. 7 is one of the things that exemplifies completion, or something that is exemplary. It is deified, it is perfect, etc. 7 stands for God.
Well, hello there, you wayward sinner. Do you like blood, violence, and
depravity of a sexual nature? Of course you do! That's why you're in hell!
There's a lot of stereotypical sins that will apparently send you to hell, and that are typified in the 7 deadly sins. The one important exclusion from this that our neo-evangelicals would be upset about is that being gay does not send you to hell. Takes other stuff. There's plenty of gay people in hell, but they're not there because they're gay. Backgrounds for everything that I have seen Vivzie Pop do is so rich. There is so much going on here. In the wallpaper, it is a whole bunch of wings. You can see there's lots and lots of wings surrounding kind of eyes. And so we have that same seraphim motif that is on just about everything in here. All right, so we can see here we've got the wings, we have the eyes, it's also part of kind of a crown kind of thing going on. We do have the slippery little like snake tail there. You'll see apples in other places as well. But yeah, this is just such a, like I said, the animation and whatnot is just top tier. This is some beautiful symbolism worked into what is a very cool pattern when you look at it up close and far away.
Commercial was to let sinners know we are trying to help them.
Well, my dear, I haven't been active in hell for some time, and everyone remembers me from my radio show, the proper medium to express oneself.
I love this radio versus TV or internet, video versus radio kind of thing. Partly because I run a sometimes video, sometimes audio podcast, and I appreciate that for different things, one or the other can be better than the other. But in evangelical history, at least in recent evangelical history, with the advent of radio, with the advent of TV, with the advent of the internet, with the advent of social media, with all of these things, evangelicals fought hard to prevent using the newer technology. Why? Because it was explicitly evil, because it was new, and because it was captivating. But getting enamored with something is a problem, because one cannot become, worshipful or detract from their other components of their spiritual life by getting invested into these entertainment mediums. And entertainment has always been a hotly debated topic. Music, always a hotly debated topic. What is recent and fun and allowable, and what is recent and fun and evil and going to destroy your soul? Is it going to be hair metal? Is it going to be Huey Lewis and the News? Is it going to be the Beatles? Who knows? The goalposts are always changing. But I appreciate this same thing here, which obviously is being done for a different effect. But you will notice that these demons do have the ability to kind of hypnotize people. So they are pulling out, I don't know if that's intentional or not, but in the backdrop of fundamentalist evangelical culture in like the 60s through the 2000s, it feels very much like a choice.
Hey, I have a question. If Freaky Face over there is so powerful, then why can't he just make people stay here?
Oh, trust me, I can.
Why do you think I'm here? You actually think I'd be cleaning bottles and listening to you fucks bitch and moan all the time if you wasn't forcing me?
I like being forced.
So here's a fun little side note. So I was raised Calvinist, and in that there is a very tricky play with free will and exactly how much of it we have. Generally speaking, if you are a hard Calvinist and you believe in the 5 fingers of the tulip doctrine, that means that God has chosen who is going to be in heaven and hell. Has nothing to do with anything that they do or choose to do in their lives. Everything is preordained and orchestrated, and there is nothing they can do to subvert the will of God one way or the other. So if you are destined for heaven, there will be irresistible grace. You will not be able to not repent and seek God from some point in your life forward. And that is all preordained. You don't have a choice in that. Now, there are softer Calvinists that believe that God didn't necessarily preordain. He just, because he knows everything that's going to happen, he just knows how it's going to turn out. He knows the choices that you're going to make. That, to me, always indicated a somewhat detached God. Like, if God knows what's going to happen, couldn't he do stuff to intervene a little bit more and save more people? On the flip side, though, with the hard Calvinists, with God choosing who goes to heaven and whatnot, why is God only choosing this select few? Why would he not choose to redeem everyone and have everyone go through some sort of God-ordained process during their physical life to choose good, to choose holiness? For folks who don't believe in Calvinism, they very much do believe that it is a choice for people to choose not to sin, to choose God, to choose to do right. But they will also say that it's not because of any works you do, it's just because you believe in God and Jesus. And so Jesus is going to make you okay, regardless of what you've done in your life. But going forward, you're not supposed to do this, ad infinitum. Very much a dialectic of everyone has free choice. Most people are going to choose evil, and so therefore they will go to hell. Few people who do choose the right religion and practice it the right way are going to go to heaven. And it's not about works at all, but here's our 28-point list of things that you cannot do or must do. I feel like they all strip some power away from God or paint God to be just a shitty entity to choose to condemn so many people with no chance of secondary redemption to eternal conscious torment just because you chose to do so, because you wanted to reward the special few that you're gonna make choose you. That feels like a weak God. And the weak God also comes through if they are seeing how people's lives are going to play out and not intervening more to help them see good. I don't know. But then we also have the weak God that allows people all of these choices, but also locks down the path of redemption to this very, very, very narrow thing that everybody thinks they have figured out, but they all think about it in a slightly different way. Like the hard Calvinist, soft Calvinist, and Arminianist. So, I don't know. Again, wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, kind of depends on who you talk to. But of course, there's only one God, only one message, only one path to God. They just all, think that they individually have it right, and everybody else is destined for hell.
We're in hell, Toots. That's kind of the end of the road, ain't it?
Well, maybe it doesn't have to be. Just because nobody has made it out before doesn't mean it's not possible.
Hey, whatever means I can keep crashing here rent-free. Crack is expensive.
Facts.
Yeah, I can. Totally. Yeah, I'll head over there right away. Okay.
Can show them the dream I've dreamed that any soul can chase.
Those angels' minds are hard to
change. Everyone can be redeemed from the evil to the strength.
So I love how she is setting up this redemptive area to where you're not navigating that all by yourself. You have someone living who is like, yes, this is my plan. This is the way that I have found redemption, and I'm going to walk you through it. And we'll get into that in later episodes as far as what exactly she does. But the plan is for the person with the overarching dream and vision for this effort is going to be there guiding you through it. And that is something that doesn't happen on Earth because we're mortal. And the only immortal person decided to leave for the right hand of God after, they were crucified and resurrected. So they didn't stick around to help us all out through the millennia that these religions have been around. So yeah, we're just kind of winging it because, again, everybody has their own interpretation of things. So I find it funny that the plan that she's got here as an immortal person in an immortal place, she can provide more support to actually reach redemption than Christianity has had. Now, we saw all kinds of imagery about Lucifer, the Garden of Eden, the fall from Eden, Seraphim, etc. that were around the Hazbin Hotel. Now, on this big, heaven's embassy in hell, it is very much stereotypical church, right? It's a big church. It's got stained glass, not necessarily representing anything. It's shiny, it's clean compared to the rest of hell. But it doesn't really contain much religious imagery. It's just a church. That by itself is enough.
Oh, okay. Also creepy.
Hello?
And here we have the first religious imagery that we see inside Heaven's Embassy. We have this little figurine, I guess, off to the side. Doesn't look like a lamp or anything, but it's the earth, the circles of the earth, but also the circles of the seraphim covered by wings of the seraphim. So, Heaven's Embassy, angels. So in the angelic structure, the hierarchy that we were talking before, within the Christian tradition, we have basically 3 levels of angels. So the highest orders are the seraphim, which we have talked about, the cherubim, and the ophanim. Now the ophanim are not necessarily angelic beings. They are referred or construed as angels in like one verse, but everywhere else the ophanim are basically the throne structure. So they serve a purpose as the throne of, the seats of power. Then below them, we have dominions, virtues, and powers. And those all have, specific powers towards maintaining the order of the planets and the stars. That's the dominions. So the Goetia would be very aware of what the dominions are doing, and that's how they would get their prophecies and whatnots figured out. Then we have the virtues. Those are there to kind of help keep the religion on track. They're obviously not working very well lately. And then we have the powers, and the powers are the ones that are going to kind of influence like religious leaders and whatnot throughout time. And then in the lowest order, we have kind of the retail workers of the angelic realms. We have the principalities. Those are the ones that go out and actually do battle with demons who are trying to impact humans. And so they are out there, fighting. And so that's really the closest I could find to a band or type of angels that are sent to war. That's the closest I can think of. Then we also have archangels and angels. Angels just being the very vague, generic angelic beings that exist but don't really have a specific purpose, name, or place. And then we also have the archangels, which really there's Gabriel and there's Michael. but that's pretty much it for the archangels. So these, executioners heading out, that's not an existing level of angels in the Christian tradition, at least.
How about we get to know each other a little? How about some lunch? You hungry? I got you. Here's my personal favorite.
Adam. Displaying a plate of ribs to eat after Eve was fashioned out of Adam's rib. Like, there's... I see so many reaction channels looking at Hazbin Hotel, and they're like, haha, he's eating, he's being a dick, blah, blah, blah. Completely missing that he's eating ribs because that's how Eve was created. Most folks who grew up around Christianity are kind of aware of that, but I don't know. Sometimes I'm surprised at how many things that I thought were universally known, absolutely not universally known, once I started making friends with people who were not raised in my kind of church.
Can I help you with anything?
I've been a bad boy, and I need a big, strong daddy to put me in my place. On the path to redemption.
Mr. Adam, sir.
Call me Dickmaster.
Adam, you seem like a smart, stand-up guy.
Uh-huh.
And I know you are the leader of the angels, and you are a big thinker, a revolutionary, a genius.
I mean, your words, babe.
Who would really love to put his name on something?
Fucking love putting my name on shit.
This he loves because Adam got to name all the animals. So every animal name that we have supposedly comes from Adam, except for the stuff that we discovered long after Adam, because we didn't see a lot of the microscopic ones. But at any rate, that's why he loves putting his name on shit.
And when you take her out for the 5th time and she still expects you to pay the check, but you're like, hey, I thought you wanted equality.
No.
He's still bitching about submission versus equality. Because, I don't know what happened to Eve in this universe. She doesn't appear to be in heaven or hell. But Adam is a free agent, and so he's dating and gets upset when his dates want equality.
These are souls. Human souls, just the same as the ones you have up in heaven.
They are not the same. They had their chance and they earned damnation.
You're wrong. Sinners made mistakes, sure, but everyone makes mistakes.
Angels don't make mistakes.
So they're saying that basically, these humans made mistakes, and that's why they ended up in hell. They didn't choose the right things. So again, we're leaning towards the whole, works really are what saves you in this realm. Yeah, that's the antithesis of neo-evangelicalism, which I think is part of the reason why we have so many slimy bastards that are trying to lead the church at this point in time. Your mega church preachers, you've got the James Dobsons of the world. We have all of these people that are just slimy, and there's so much underhandedness going on. There's so much hidden abuse and harassment. It's bad. It's bad. All because it's not about what you do, even though it is. So being gay, wearing revealing clothing, that's bad. Committing fraud, harassing or assaulting the people within your congregation or those that you are otherwise given access to, especially the young and the vulnerable. Oh, that's totally come back from that. Just gotta have a good public apology, even if that public apology is a copy paste that is given to you by an association that you belong to, that gives out pastoral apologies, in that boilerplate version. And you just kind of tweak it to hopefully make it sound like you.
I've never made a mistake in my fucking life.
The only reason you're still...
That is an interesting perspective. If Adam never made a mistake, what happened when he was thrown out of the Garden of Eden for eating the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? Did he not err in that? Or is that why Eve isn't here? Because they're placing all of the blame squarely on Eve. Eve deceived him. It was still a mistake at that point, but it was more like accidental, I don't know. I'm very intrigued to see how she makes that work. I'm dying to know where the hell Eve is if Adam is the head of the exterminators.
What you're suggesting is letting them climb up the ladder. Oh, they'd rather cross the pearly gates.
Well,
Sorry, sweetie, but there's no defying their fate.
So, defying their fates. Are we Calvinists here or not? Because is it fate that you chose? Because fate usually means something outside your control.
I hear you imply that they don't deserve death. Are they winners? Are they sinners? 'Cause it's cut and dry.
Well, actually,
Fair is fair, an eye for an eye.
So, an eye for an eye. It's interesting that he does that. Like, I know that, I could see why he would thematically use eye for an eye, because he's, putting together this tit for tat kind of situation where it's black and white of head to heaven, head to hell. But in the Bible, the phrase an eye for an eye pops up in Leviticus. Whoever takes a human life shall surely be put to death. Whoever takes an animal's life shall make it good, life for life. If anyone injures his neighbor as he has done, it shall be done to him. And fracture for fracture, eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Whatever injury he has given a person shall be given to him. Later in the Bible, when you are talking to Jesus, Matthew 5, by the way, he says, you have heard, we're going to say it in the King James Version. Ye have heard that it hath been said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. But I say unto you, that ye resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also. And if any man will sue thee at the law, and take away thy coat, let him also have thy cloak. And whosoever shall compel thee to go a mile, go with him twain. Give to him that asketh thee, and from him that would borrow of thee, turn not thou away. Ye have heard it, that it hath been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor, and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you, that you may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. For he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and the unjust. For if ye love them which love you, what reward have ye? Do not even the publicans, the lawyers, say the same? And if you salute your brethren only, what do ye more than others? Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. So, an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind, is another way to put that. But, yeah, so Adam is sticking with the old, gosh, is that Babylonian? Eye for an eye actually came from the Code of Hammurabi, and it's called the Law of Exact Retaliation, reciprocal justice. And so whatever is done to you, you get to do to somebody else. That saying, the eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. So it's been attributed to a number of people, from George Perry Graham in 1914 to Martin Luther King Jr. in 1958. There is some uncertainty as to whether Gandhi actually said these words, and even if he did, how exactly. But, if we're going to continue cruelty towards others at the same rate that they gave us cruelty, again, how are we better? How are we choosing good in that? We're just, stooping to their level, basically.
Those of us with divine ordainment, extermination is entertainment. Guitar solo, fuck yeah!
Okay, that is such South Park energy. right there. I just gotta say, like, it's America, fuck yeah. That's the feeling that I get. Okay, so all the folks that go into putting this together, from A24, from Bento Box, from Bibsy Pop, the voice actors, all of the animators, the cleanup artists, the songwriters, etc. Just phenomenal job. And here we actually get an even better look at the wallpaper that is in the Hazbin Hotel. And you know how I said there were apples here and there? There's that apple right there in the middle of the motif. So we've got the head of the snake right here biting the apple. Snake comes around like that, right? And then we have our angelic wings. We have eyes. So we have our heaven and hell put together in this fabulous motif. So that is the first episode of Hell of a Boss. For this, I don't think I'll be getting into the pilot, just simply because it's not canon. But as always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe so you can see my future videos, and leave me a comment to let me know your favorite fan theories or concepts or perspectives of how Vizzy Pops is putting together the heaven and hell, good and evil setup here. What do you think is going to turn out to be what actually gets a soul to heaven? And the usual links are going to be in the description. We have the Discord that you can join. Our book club just got started doing the Body Keeps the Score. So we basically just went through the preface and the first chapter and just kind of got a general bearing for self-care as we go through a very heavy book. My Discord does have resources as far as dialectical behavioral therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy techniques, tips, tricks, etc., as well as information on how to find a therapist, how to vet a therapist, very important, but how to manage your own trauma as you go forward and be the best advocate for yourself that you can be. We also have ways to support me financially. I have switched over from Discord subscriptions to Patreon because Discord subscriptions have been broken on mobile for months, and it doesn't look like they're going to go back. So we are moving over to Patreon. I greatly appreciate everybody who has been contributing to me for the last several months. It's really helpful to help me keep up with the subscriptions and whatnot that I need to make this all happen. So once again, thank you for hanging out with me, and I look forward to seeing you when I get into episode number 2. Have a wonderful day.